when you came to Alderney, you'd already been doing this in
Absolutely.
a very,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
bigger place.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the first impression when you found out about sort of the legal system here?
Well, of course, it was very different because actually, where I came from, the magistrates' court, which was all criminal and civil litigation. Here, of course, the job is different. So I came originally as what was called clerk of the court, which had the obviously the clerk of the court as it is described, but also the land registry, company registry, registry of births, deaths, and marriages, acting as an advisor to the coroner, who would are the jurats. So it was a very different setup, and also the balance was in favour of the registries because, of course, that's the predominant workload. So the court was. We sat once a month for criminal, and I think they still do. We sat once a month for criminal, so it was a big shift.
I can imagine. So the clerk, just to give me a definition, what a clerk is. You're basically just looking after everyone.
Yeah, yeah, making sure that the processes and procedures and the law are followed, and making sure that people do as they are supposed to in that environment.
That's kind of fun for
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
like you who's
yeah,
just like, okay, very logical.
yeah. No, it is.
Do you get
It's
to
a
wear
good
a
job.
wig?
A hat in the Channel Islands. We have what's
Interesting.
called a toque because, of course, it comes from the French system. So they
Oh,
don't have wigs. We have hats, which are
hats.
called toques.
Do you still have your hat?
I do. Although I'd
Whoa!
like to say, if anyone from Guernsey's watching this, I lent my advocate's robes and hat to a colleague, and I've never seen them since. They borrowed them as they came over from Guernsey, and I don't know where they are now. So
Oh
I'm
no,
just
that
saying, if anybody in Guernsey's got my name on a gown and a
yeah,
hat,
it
please
says
get in
Sarah
touch.
Kelly on the label. Yeah, well, that's a shame as well because you do like to keep little mementos
Yeah, that's
of
all
your
right.
time. I mean, are you allowed to talk about any of the cases that you've worked on?
No, not and
Yeah,
certainly not here because
God no.
obviously,
You'll be
most
seeing them later.
exactly, and so it's not appropriate anyway.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
The good thing about the people that work in the court, the jurats, the girls in the office, they're also confidential because that's how the system works.
That's it.
And you can't have a system that's reliant on that without everybody playing their part. Otherwise, it breaks down, and no one has any confidence in
Yeah.
the system. Then,
And on an island of 2,000 people, I
yeah,
mean, that's just almost impossible
yeah,
to not know the person or not have
yeah,
any connection with the person.
yeah.
Is there a case where if you do know the person, you're not allowed to be in the court?
There's a view to be had. So I as a clerk, you're not the decision maker. That's the jurats. The jurats would have to consider if they sat on that case, would somebody think that they would be biased? So if it's obviously a very close family member, I would imagine they would say, yes, I can't sit on this because it would be seen to be biased because
Mhm.
it's my close family member, be it, son, brother, sister, whatever. Then you go to your neighbours and friends. Well, we could all say that about everybody. We'd never get anyone to sit. So it's got to be a decision that's made considering all options. And there's this phrase which I still use, but it's probably a bit out of date now. What would the man on the Clapham omnibus think? So there was a case in about the 1940s or something where, the view was that if somebody was just sitting at the back of the court, right, or a man was on the Clapham omnibus and he saw this happening, would he think it was fair? And if that's how you can get to your decision, then fine, you can carry on. But if you think, oh no, actually the perception is this isn't fair, this isn't right, then they should stand down.
Interesting. I do know a little bit about this because I had Dougal on
Ah, yeah,
the
well,
show.
there you go.
Were
Yeah,
you working at the same time as Dougal?
definitely.
Wow.
Yeah,
What was that
yeah,
like
great.
seeing him in
No,
his robes and he's
it's
just
great. All the jurats that have come through are great,
yeah.
and the ones that are there now are great because they're doing something for the community
Yeah.
for nothing. I think people need to understand that they don't get paid; it's free. They give up their time and their service for
Wow, I didn't know
nothing.
that.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I mean that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean that's
and
kind of what you got to do on an island, isn't
for a
it?
lot for a long time, we've had jurats there for 10 to 20 years. It's been they were there for a long time, and
Wow.
it's onerous on occasion. If they've got to sit and listen to a trial for a week, they've got to give up everything. If they're working or whatever it is.
That's so unfair. Why is no one standing up for the jurors? Pay them.
I always stand up for the
Yeah, we
jurats.
must pay them. Yeah, in more than just wine. That's probably a thing. And it does make me wonder because I used to love that Midsummer Murders, and I always used to think, God, why is everyone living in Midsummer? Like, you should just get out of that place. I mean, has there been like major crime on Alderney? Because I've just never. Like murder?
It,
Has anyone like murdered people on this island?
but not since I've been here. There
Oh,
are
thank
some
God.
historic. There are some historic. I'll say stories to start with, whether they were actually true.
We're talking
Um,
like post-war.
yeah, yeah. But
Wow.
nothing that came to court in my day. So
God,
um,
that would be awful. Imagine if there was a serial killer on the loose in Alderney. Like, oh my God, you'd be looking, you're like going to George and you're like, all right, guys.
I think between us all, we'd work out who it is.
I think so too. Yeah. Well, you'd like to think so, but no. Thankfully, it's just a lot of petty crime. Is that
Yeah,
right to say?
yeah.
There has been a few car thefts in this last year, particularly. I find it so fascinating as well because you're like, what are you doing? Like, what? Someone's going to find their car, or I guess
Yeah.
people from the UK often come here and they. I mean, a lot of my friends when they come here, they think it's bloody Malaga, and I'm like, guys, like I know everyone. You got
Yeah,
to calm down a
yeah.
little bit. Do you think that the crime rate in the UK is affecting Alderney at all, or are we still just living in a
No,
bubble?
we're still in a bubble. We're way
Just
behind everywhere else. I mean, I think we just have this level of social sort of. I don't know how to describe it, but we all have to, because we're on a small island, and actually there's a fair few of us. We do have to have that sort of sense of politeness and social control, I suppose.